A couple of years ago, I was seeing someone for a few months, and in that time, the conversation of a prenup had come up because a friend of mine was getting married. And I had mentioned that I would never get married without a prenup. While it is not my intention to get married and get divorced, things happen. I have friends that have gone through divorces that have gotten surprisingly nasty and extremely expensive. I also have friends that have considered a divorce and have not gone through with it because they are afraid of what will happen to them financially without their husband's financial support. And I never want to be someone that is staying in a marriage simply because I need financial support or I'm worried about how I'm going to feed myself if I leave a marriage. And so for me, it is important to me to protect the assets that I have built up on my own so far, so that in the event I need to exit a marriage, I have my own money that I can fall back on, and I'm not staying with somebody just because I'm worried about not being able to feed myself. And similarly, whatever it is that my future husband has built up, if we were to get divorced, like, I don't want to be able to have access to that just because I'm angry or whatever. At the time that I brought up this prenup thing, there was a little bit of pushback. We talked about it a little bit, and I essentially was asking him, okay, what's the reason that you're against it? And he was like, well, my parents never did it. And I was like, well, your parents were like 20 years old in Nigeria, had nothing when they got married, both had nothing. So yeah, I understand why there was no prenup. This is a different situation. But I didn't really think this was a big deal. But a month later, we essentially had a big blow up. He had mentioned that the fact that I want a prenup was concerning to him, along with a couple other things. I remember there were 3 reasons. Like, so the prenup was like a big thing. The second thing was he wants someone that's going to go to church with him every week. And like, that's not me. But I forget what the third thing, but the 2 things were things I was very upfront with from the beginning. And then the prenup thing was something that, again, had been mentioned a month before. I didn't realize was a big deal to him. And I'm not going to say that I was unbothered. I definitely was bothered. I definitely had a not very calm reaction to it. But after sleeping on it, I actually sent a message and said, hey, you know what? I'm sorry for my reaction. I freaked out a little bit, and I respect your stance. I respect what's important to you, and that's that. I guess maybe because I'm a woman, I've always experienced women that are against prenups, which I personally think is dumb. I'd never actually encountered a man that was against a prenup. And like, in my head, that didn't really make sense. If your intention is that you don't want to get divorced, and what's the big deal about signing the prenup? Unless you actually would consider going after my shit. I always think women are silly if they're against a prenup. But I think it's especially mind-boggling to me for a man to be against a prenup. To me, it just makes sense, right? So let's talk to a professional. Let's talk about the things that are usually contentious in divorces, and let's talk about that ahead of time, so that in the event that we do get a divorce, we're not doing this when we're both upset. Because I know for me, when I'm upset, you don't want to be dealing with me. But I also just came to terms with the fact that the person that is for me, that has the same mindset as me, is not going to think a prenup is a big deal. So if this person is adamant that like they would never sign a prenup, then it's all good. That's not my person. Like, we can go our separate ways. It's okay. So before the whole prenup debacle, he had shared that he had put together a training for people that want to get into a specific type of IT. He had actually done it a couple of times, but was having a hard time having recurring people join his program. And being the very helpful person that I am, I actually bought a business strategy / marketing book for him, which was very impactful for me, that I thought could be useful to him. I had ordered it. It was at my place, but I had not given it to him before our breakup. So a month after this debacle, I was actually cleaning up and I found the Amazon delivery package, and I was like, oh, what's this? And I actually found the book in there. Now, I don't know about you, but I definitely lean more on the petty side, so I absolutely was not going to give this man this book. The first person that I thought to give this to is my brother. He had a business idea that he had come up with, but he was doing all this work to do the, I'm going to say, fluff stuff, right? So it's putting together a website, getting business cards, like getting like decals for his car. And I was trying to tell him that all that is nice, but what actually matters is getting someone to say yes to what you're offering them. And so all this other stuff you're doing isn't actually important. You need to start talking to people to get someone to book your services to see if it's something that they actually want. Mans was not listening. He was just all about just doing all this fluff stuff, which is fine. But I thought, let me give this young man this book and see if it does something for him. And unlike most people that get books, he actually read it and actually implemented the things that he learned in the book. And by the way, this is the book. I highly recommend it if there is some kind of business venture that you are trying to get together. I'll also put the book in the description if you would like to grab it for yourself, which I highly, highly, highly recommend that you do. My brother not only read the book and not only tried a couple of things, but he just sees the world and opportunities in a whole different light. After reading the book, he shares so many ideas of things that he can do outside of his 9 to 5 to generate additional income. He actually executed a few different ideas, and just one of those ideas alone in this past summer, he's made close to $10,000. And you may think, well, 10 grand, that's not like Jeff Bezos money, which is true, but that's 10 grand more that he would not have if he was just doing his 9 to 5. But more than that, that's 10 grand more of confirmation that he has the ability to think up an idea and put it out to the world and feed himself without just relying on his job. And if 2020 taught us anything, it is that you always need to have some kind of backup plan outside of your job. And my brother now knows how to make that happen. But here's the thing. If I had not been transparent and honest with that gentleman that I will never get married without a prenup, then I would have given him that book because we would have been together a little bit longer. I don't even know where that would have ended up, but with everything where it is right now, I am very happy that it's my brother that got that book. I'm very happy that he has a different mindset. I'm very happy that we can just go back and forth and have business discussions. And all of that might not be taking place if that prenup conversation might not have happened. And even though in the moment that that conversation was had, it did not feel amazing, it turned out the way that most things turn out if we actually take a step back and think of them. If you think about a time where you felt like everything was going to shit, like nothing was working out, like things were falling apart, if you actually look back at it from now, you look back and see that, yeah, things were not great. Yes, things were terrible. Yes, but everything actually ends up working out for the better. Right? Even though at that time I felt like I really like this guy and he's rejecting me, realistically, not just that guy, when I actually take a step back and think about like all the guys that I thought I was really into, there is not one person that I look back and I say, God, you messed up. That was my person. That's the person I should have been with. And so if right now you're in a space where you feel like your money isn't lining up the way that you want it to, your dating life is not lighting up the way that you want it to, like your vision of where your career wants to go to is not lighting up, this is your reminder that in the end, everything works out perfectly. So if it seems like everything is falling apart right now, it's okay. Just take a breath, take a step back, and think of all the times where you have come back when it seemed like things were falling apart. There really are no losses. There are just lessons and opportunities for you to learn from them and level up. So you got this.